Have you ever reached a point where you've done everything people told you to do, yet your business still feels stuck? You've posted consistently. You've invested in courses. You've tried AI. You've rebuilt your offer. You've changed your marketing. You've listened to experts. You've prayed. And yet you still find yourself asking the same question. What am I missing? That question can become exhausting because every time growth slows, another expert appears with another strategy, another platform, another system, another promise. At first, it gives you hope. Then you try it. You work hard. You stay consistent. Nothing changes. So you assume that strategy must not have been the answer either. Then the cycle starts again. If that sounds familiar, I want to suggest something that may completely change how you look at your business. What if your biggest obstacle isn't a lack of information? What if you've simply been trying to solve the wrong problem? Many Christian business owners assume stalled growth automatically means their marketing needs work. Sometimes that's true. Sometimes it isn't. Sometimes the strategy is perfectly reasonable. The real issue is the condition through which that strategy is being carried out. Think about it this way. If two people are handed the exact same business plan, the exact same audience, and the exact same tools, do they always produce the same results? Of course not. Why? Because every decision passes through the person making it. One person stays focused. Another changes direction every 2 weeks. One communicates with confidence. Another second guesses every message before publishing it. One follows through. Another keeps researching instead of implementing. The strategy stayed the same. The person applying it did not. That is why today's conversation is not really about marketing. It is about diagnosis. One of the most expensive mistakes a business owner can make is accurately seeing the symptom while misidentifying the source. You notice slow growth. You notice inconsistent revenue. You notice low engagement. Those are real symptoms. But symptoms rarely tell the whole story. If someone has a persistent cough, the cough is not the diagnosis. It points towards something deeper. The same is true in business. Changing strategies over and over may not be solving the problem. It may simply be changing the appearance of the symptoms while the real issue remains untouched. That is why Scripture continually directs our attention beneath outward behavior. Listen to Proverbs 4:23. Above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. That verse is often quoted when people talk about relationships or personal holiness. But notice the principle. Everything you do flows from your heart. Everything. That includes leadership, decision-making, communication, stewardship, business, marketing, planning, serving clients. Everything flows from an internal source before it becomes an external action. That means your business does not begin with your website. It does not begin with your social media. It does not begin with your funnel. It begins with the person making every decision behind those things. Your beliefs influence what you notice. Your priorities determine where your time goes. Your fears influence what you avoid. Your assumptions affect the opportunities you pursue. Your identity influences what you believe you are capable of building. That is why two people can use identical strategies and experience completely different outcomes. God consistently addresses the source before the fruit. Romans 12 reminds us that transformation begins with the renewing of our minds. James tells us that if we lack wisdom, we should ask God, who gives generously. Psalm 139 records David asking God to search his heart and reveal anything harmful within him. None of those passages point us toward frantic activity. They point us toward honest examination before decisive action. Notice something important. Scripture never encourages passivity. It never says to stop working. It never says strategy does not matter. Good strategy matters. Faithful execution matters. Wise stewardship matters. But Scripture also teaches that external activity is strongest when it flows from an ordered heart and a renewed mind. That leads us to a simple framework that can help you evaluate where your business really is today. I call it the Source Signal Strategy Framework. The first step is identifying the source. Before changing another tactic, ask yourself a better question. What may actually be shaping the decisions I keep making? Maybe it is fear. Maybe it is scattered priorities. Maybe it is comparison. Maybe you are trying to build your business around someone else's strengths instead of faithfully stewarding your own. Maybe you have become so busy collecting advice that you no longer trust your own judgment. Whatever the answer is, you cannot change what you refuse to examine. The second step is reading the signal. Every business sends signals. Do you constantly change direction? Do you start more projects than you finish? Do you keep buying tools without fully using them? Do you create content without knowing why you are creating it? Do you hesitate every time an important decision needs to be made? These are not simply frustrations, they are information. Signals tell us where deeper questions should be asked. Instead of becoming discouraged by repeated patterns, become curious about them. Repeated resistance deserves examination. The third step is choosing the strategy. Only after you understand the source and recognize the signals can you confidently decide what needs to change. Sometimes you really do need a better marketing strategy. Sometimes you need better execution. Sometimes you need clearer priorities. Sometimes you need renewed thinking. Sometimes the most important decision is not choosing a different system. It is deciding to stop treating every business problem as though it has the same cause. Wise action begins by naming the real problem. One of the reasons many Christian business owners stay stuck is because they keep asking the wrong question. They ask, "What should I do next?" That sounds like a good question, but there is a better one. What is shaping the way I decide what to do next? That question slows us down just enough to invite wisdom before activity. It helps us separate symptoms from sources. It creates room for discernment instead of reaction. And that is often where clarity begins. If you're a Christian business owner, I want you to consider something. Maybe your business isn't asking for another tactic. Maybe it's asking for a better diagnosis. Imagine going to a doctor with pain in your shoulder. Without asking questions or running tests, they immediately hand you medication for a stomach problem. It wouldn't matter how effective that medication was. It would never solve the problem because it was prescribed for the wrong diagnosis. Business works the same way. The wrong solution applied to the wrong problem simply creates more frustration. That is why so many business owners begin losing confidence. Not because they are incapable. Not because God forgot about them. Not because the market has rejected them. They lose confidence because every new strategy carries the expectation that this one will finally be different. When it isn't, they begin questioning themselves instead of questioning the diagnosis. I've watched people spend thousands of dollars on courses they never finished. They bought another system because the last one didn't work. Then another. Then another. Eventually, they weren't lacking information. They were drowning in it. Every expert gave different advice. One said to post more, another said to post less. One said to build a community, another said to build an email list. One said long-form content, another said only short-form. The problem wasn't that the advice was wrong. Much of it was good advice. The problem was that they didn't yet know which advice matched the problem they were actually trying to solve. Wisdom is not knowing everything. Wisdom is knowing what applies right now. That is exactly what James encourages us to seek. If any of you lacks wisdom, you should ask God, who gives generously to all without finding fault. Notice James doesn't say to panic. He doesn't say to rush into another decision. He says to seek wisdom. Wisdom helps us distinguish between problems that look similar on the surface. That matters in business. Because two people can experience slow growth for completely different reasons. One may need a clearer offer, another may need greater consistency, another may need healthier priorities, another may need to stop comparing themselves to everyone around them. the symptom looks the same. The source is different. That is why comparison is so dangerous. When you compare yourself to another business owner, you're often comparing visible results without understanding the invisible decisions that produce them. You don't know their strengths. You don't know their experience. You don't know the season they're in. You don't know what God has called them to steward. Trying to duplicate their strategy without understanding your own operating patterns can leave you chasing someone else's assignment. God has never asked you to faithfully steward someone else's calling. He has asked you to faithfully steward yours. That means your business should reflect the way He designed you to serve, lead, communicate, and solve problems. It doesn't mean you'll never learn from others. It means learning should strengthen discernment, not replace it. This is why I encourage Christian business owners to spend as much time examining themselves as they do examining the latest marketing trend. Ask yourself honest questions. Do I keep changing direction because my strategy is weak? Or because I become uncomfortable before results have time to develop? Do I avoid certain activities because they aren't effective? Or because they expose fears I'd rather not face? Am I building my business around conviction or around comparison? Am I making decisions from clarity or from exhaustion? Those questions matter because every answer influences what you do next. If the source changes, the strategy often changes with it. And sometimes you'll discover something encouraging. You'll realize the strategy wasn't completely wrong. It simply wasn't being applied from a place of clarity. Other times, you'll discover that you've been solving a marketing problem with productivity, or trying to solve a discernment problem with more information, or trying to solve a confidence problem with another certification. Accurate diagnosis changes everything because it helps you stop spending energy in places that were never designed to carry the weight of the real issue. That is one reason I created the Aligned Archetype Assessment. It isn't designed to put you into another personality category. It isn't designed to tell you who you are. It is designed to help you slow down long enough to examine recurring patterns that may be shaping the way you lead, make decisions, communicate, and build your business. Many people discover that patterns they assumed were simply part of their personality are actually influencing important business decisions every single day. The assessment provides a structured way to begin examining those patterns. It helps you ask better questions before making your next investment of time, money, or energy. It doesn't replace prayer. It doesn't replace scripture. It doesn't replace wise counsel. It is simply a practical tool designed to support thoughtful reflection around the very principles we've discussed today. If today's conversation has caused you to think differently about your business, and you'd like to explore the operating patterns that may be influencing your decisions, you can request the free Aligned Archetype Assessment. Use it as a starting point for reflection. Work through it carefully. Compare what you discover with Scripture. Pray over what you learn. Invite God to continue shaping your heart, renewing your mind, and giving you wisdom for the work He has entrusted to you. Because before changing another strategy, it is worth asking one more question. What if the greatest opportunity for growth isn't waiting inside another marketing system? What if it begins by understanding the person who is using that system?